everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I am starting my vlog of the next Bridgerton book. I believe it's An Offer from a Gentleman. This is book number 3. The first book wasn't a success for me. The second one was better. And I already started listening to this one on audiobook. I don't know how far I am, maybe like 40%, almost 50% through. And I'm loving this one so much more. I just actually went grocery shopping because I am doing all the pies. I make like homemade pies, make the crust and everything for the family on Thanksgiving. So just had to go to the grocery store. And of course I left it last minute and there was so many people there. So just finished that up and I thought I'd just do a quick little check-in. This one is really cool because it's kind of like a Cinderella retelling. And you have Benedict, and he is the second brother. So he's not like set to like inherit everything. So he's like the second son kind of thing. And he hasn't really had any interest in women or getting married or anything like that. He ends up going to a ball or whatever. And I believe it was a masquerade. I love masquerades and historical romance. And he meets Sophie. And Sophie was basically the illegitimate daughter to this man. And he ended up dying. And her stepmothers and like her stepsisters, one of them is kind of nice to her, but not really, because they treat her like the help. Like she's like their maid. And the stepmother is really cruel to her. And so she, has to do everything for them and is like kept on. Her father actually made it so that the stepmother had to keep her around and take her in once he died, or she wouldn't get his money or like his allowance for her. So that's the whole reason she kept her. And I think she kind of lied about it too. So one night, like the other people, servants in the house had basically set it up so that she could go to this masquerade ball. She wore like one of the old dresses and like had one of their old, like, I think gloves that had like their house signia or whatever you call it on it. But she ends up going to this masquerade and, she's got a mask on since it's a masquerade, and she runs into Benedict. They go outside, they hit it off. They're like, have such an insane chemistry and connection. They kiss and everything, but she has to leave by like 12. So she has to like rush out of there, and he was like smitten trying to find her. She left behind like her glove because they like touch skin to skin. It was like so amazing, this moment. And so he's like trying to find out whose glove this belongs to. So he ends up going to that house, but it was like he saw the two stepdaughters and was like, no, it's not one of them. The stepmom knew she basically went because, she could tell. And so she basically kicks her out and she has to go kind of fend for herself. And so it's like a couple years later, she's been like a maid in another house. And Benedict goes to this house party out in the country, and these guys are basically trying to like rape her and assault her. And so he saves her, and he ends up taking her with him and saying, I can help you get some work with my mother or whatever. And he gets really sick because they get stuck in the rain, and they stop by like this cottage house that he has, and these like servants that live there weren't there at the time, so they had to kind of like make do by themselves. And so she ends up having to take care of him because he just got over a bad like cold, and it made it even worse being out in the sun. And I mean, not in the sun. I mean, out in the rain. It's sunny right now. I don't know. I'm out of it, you guys. So he ends up getting a bad cold, and she's like so sad, like he doesn't recognize her, but how would he? She had a mask on, and she's just always dreamed of him. She's like the one that got away. He always like is pining for this lady in silver and he just wants her. But he's having this undeniable connection with the maid now. And so she helps take care of him. She hangs out with the people that come back to that house. And he like basically is like really turned on by her. He likes her. So he kind of like asks her to be his mistress, which I hate that. I hate the mistress thing. But she denies him. She's like, I'm not going to be your mistress. Like, no way. And he basically threatens her, kind of blackmails her, like, you need to come at least work for my mother in the city, because he doesn't want her to go off on her own, and be on her own. I think he thinks he can kind of like break her down to be his mistress eventually. And so he basically tells her, you have to come and try and work for my mom, or I'm going to say that you stole from me, and then they can release you into my custody, and then I'll have you, kind of thing. So it's pretty fucking ruthless, but he's so, I don't know what it is. He's so sweet and swoony in this book, because he's like, I'm not going to lose the next woman. Like, I've been pining after this woman that's like non-existent for years, and I'm not going to lose this woman. So I got to the part where they just showed up at the Bridgerton house. And, if you see my other vlogs, I love the Bridgerton mom. She's like my freaking favorite thing in this series. And so she kind of looks at her like, okay, well, you speak really well. You read well. You write well. There's something more to her, And so she ends up taking her on as like kind of like the lady's maid, I think. I think that's what it was called. So that's where I'm at. I'm absolutely loving this. I love the Cinderella retelling. I love Benedict. Like, I think he's like my favorite brother. He's my favorite Bridgerton. Like, so far this book is like blowing me away. So I think this might be the best. It's going to be my favorite. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it carries it all the way to the end, because I like the first one 70% through, and then it pissed me off. So I will check in with you guys in a little bit and let you know how it's going. So it's actually Thanksgiving right now. I just finished getting ready, and my family is about to get here. I did make some pies last night. I think I filmed some footage for it. I don't know. It was taking me forever. It takes a long time with making the pie crust and doing all that stuff. So I might not have put as much footage as needed, but I'll try to fit it in. You probably just saw it in this vlog. But I did want to give my final thoughts on an offer from a gentleman. I really enjoyed this. I actually finished listening to it while I was making my pies. I also started Saving Six by Chloe Walsh, which that's going to be another vlog, which should be probably another emotional one, because Joey like breaks my heart, but I digress. Let's get to this book. So, an offer from a gentleman. I absolutely loved this book. I loved Benedict. I thought he was really swoon-worthy and like went after what he wants, but almost in like a ruthless way. Like the way he like manipulated her to coming to work for his parents because he wanted her. He did want her to be his mistress because, like, obviously such different class, he would never be able to marry like the maid. And so he wanted her in his life, and he had so much regrets with losing the lady in silver or whatever that he was like, I'm not gonna let her go. And so I liked how he was a little morally gray, which is the shirt I'm wearing today. I don't know if you can see it in the frame, with the way he went about it. And I kind of loved that. But he is still so swoon worthy and like gone for her. And so I really loved this book. This is the first 5-star book that I'm giving out of the Bridgertons. It's my favorite one, obviously, so far. And I'm hoping that each one gets better. So, I don't know where I really left off, but she did come work for his parents. For his mother, I mean, his dad is dead, but the mother also, when she came to work for the mother, was so like, she's so smart, and she can see there's something between them. She knows that Sophie is like better, like she knows how to write, read, she speaks French, which is really hard. Like that's more of the higher ups that actually have like French tutors and stuff. And so she knows there's more to Sophie and more than meets the eye. And so I really love her. She's honestly like my favorite character out of this series. Like she wants her matches for her kids, but she loves her kids so much. She loved her husband that died, from like a bee sting, which is so sad. Wait, did he die from a bee sting? Yes. Okay, sorry, I'm getting all mixed up here. Anyways, I freaking loved both of the characters. She ends up moving with them, and then I think the her stepmom was like moving like at a next door neighbor kind of thing, and so she kind of almost gets seen by her, and she freaks out. And there was one sister that was like really nice to her and tried to stick up for her, but really couldn't. And so she sees her, but she like lets her go, doesn't let the mom know. She kind of freaks out after that, and she ends up like back with Benedict at his place, and things escalate, and they basically go for it. Like, he wants her, she wants him. She's like, even though this can't really last, I'm not going to be his mistress. She refuses to be his mistress because she is, the product of like the mistress kind of thing. Like, her mother was a maid in the father's household, and so she was a bastard, and she does not want to do that to her child. She's very adamant that she's not going to be the mistress. Well, they have a really hot sexual experience, and he like basically thinks it's a done deal now that she's going to be his mistress, and she basically tells him, hell no, I'm not doing that. This is a mistake kind of thing. And so he is very infuriated. What ends up happening is like she's playing with like the little sisters, and she has like kind of like this thing, almost like a mask on, and he happens to come up there and he sees her in the mask, and he knows that she's the lady in silver that he's been looking for, and he is pissed off because she didn't tell him. And her reasons for telling him are kind of flimsy and stupid, but it's okay. It's understandable from like where her position was. And she felt like if she told him who she was, like he would just want her to be his mistress anyways. Like, so it didn't really matter who she was. She was still going to always be just the mistress. But he decides basically like he kind of comes to the realization, he talks to his mom, and I love his scenes with his mom, and that he's willing to marry her, even though it will be tough for them because, the ton and like the classes will ostracize her and all that kind of stuff. But he's the second son, so it's not as important for him to marry up. And so he's decided to do that, but she, in the meantime, gets seen by the stepmother, and the stepmother basically is like, she runs away from the stepmother, and she's like calling out, thief, thief. And they like arrest her as like stealing the stepmother's wedding band, which she never did. And he ends up finding her at where she's being held, and he's like demanding she be let go. And the stepmother is there with the daughter, and the daughter literally calls out the stepmother and was like, you have it hidden in the other place where you have everything. She literally like steps up and sticks up for her and goes against the stepmother, which is really dangerous for her because her life will be made into hell. So I really loved that. I thought she was a really sweet character. And he like literally says in there, he's like, this is my fiance. And she's like, what? Like, fiance? And so it was just very sweet. So everything gets settled. I love the mother. Again, the Bridgerton mother is the fucking best. Like, she was beast mode in the scene and was basically like threatening the other woman. She's like, I never liked you. And she basically like kind of threatens her. And like she's going to reveal things about her and all this kind of stuff. And so they basically all walk away. Okay. Because we find out in that scene that she was basically kept Sophie's inheritance and like, her like dowry, and she like kept it for herself. So that's why like the mother's like, oh, well, that's a crime. So I loved it. I love the Bridgerton mom. She's feisty. She's all in for her kids, and she doesn't like care as much about class, where she was like wanting them to be together. So I fucking love her. Each book she gets better, and I love her more and more. So I love this. They get married. You see the epilogue where it's like they have kids, and it's just, and she's going to be pregnant with another one now. And it was just so sweet. Like, it's just a very feel-good, sweet historical romance. So I am very excited that the series is going to get better. I'm hoping the next one, I don't know anything about this series, sorry, but I'm hoping the next one is the other brother. I think it was Colin, if I'm remembering correctly. And like the girl that he basically, like, she's kind of been sprinkled in some of the books, and he basically, it was really sad. He said like, oh, I would never marry her, blah, blah, blah. And she was like right there, and you could tell he felt like super guilty. So I'm hoping that she's going to be the next book. I don't know though. So I absolutely love this. I gave it 5 stars, 2.5 on the Chili's. It was a really perfect Cinderella retelling, great historical romance. Thank you so much for watching this. If you could, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment, leave me an emoji down below. It really helps if you engage in my videos. I'm, newer to BookTube this year, and I'm just trying to grow my channel, and I appreciate all your help. So thank you so much, and I will see you on the next vlog.